everyone, and welcome to Who Ate It First. I am Kendall Runquist.
And I'm also Kendall.
Oh my God. Wait, are we doing like a Mirror Universe episode where I'm on the podcast with myself?
Yeah.
This is Who Ate It First, featuring Kendall Runquist and Kendall Runquist. But the female version, just like in Loki.
Exactly. Oh, ew. That's really apropos because Loki is coming out with a new season.
Yes.
So
not sponsored, just a reference.
Kevin Feige, can you sponsor us?
I would actually die if that was something that happened. Can you sponsor our very small podcast that has nothing to do at all with Marvel? We could talk about shawarma. That would bring it into relevance with Marvel.
I like shawarma for sure.
That's about as relevant we're, I think, ever going to get to a Marvel sponsorship.
Well, in that Disney cookbook, I feel like there might be some Marvel recipes.
Anyway, who are you?
I'm Logan Runquist sometimes, but sometimes I'm Kendall. Just kind of depends. Just kidding. A lot of people think that your name is my name, so
true.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, having two androgynous names is not helpful.
Yeah.
We get confused all the time. And since Logan, I don't know if I agree with this, but I think a lot of people assume Logan is more of a boy name.
Yeah.
Because they always think I'm Logan and you're Kendall.
Yeah.
And they get surprised when it's the other way around.
Oh, that just happened
all the time.
At your sister's wedding.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. One of, I think, the groomsmen. No. He was another usher, I guess, but it was on.
Oh, yeah. Where he was walking down and you're like, you're Logan, right? I'm like, nope.
Pointed at
She's
you.
Logan.
And he was like, oh, okay.
You weren't even an usher, so I'm not sure where he got your name to begin with. So that was weird.
I don't know. He knew me from something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe on like a piece of paper we were written together or something.
Anyway, yes, we went to my sister's wedding. It's been slightly chaotic of the past few weeks because we had our trip to Italy and then we flew out to my sister's wedding, your sister-in-law, and now our dog had surgery on his leg.
Yeah. So he's doing a lot better though.
Yeah,
he's
he
just
is.
Kind of a limpy boy.
Yeah. Chef Biscuit is not going to be in this episode most likely, or from the next, maybe not even the rest of the season. He's out on injury. So
he's on short-term disability.
Yeah, we don't have, a second string Biscuit. We only have the one. So, he tore his ACL, which is apparently something that can happen quite often in corgis.
Yeah.
So he had surgery for that, and he's doing good. Still doing fine. He's actually walking a lot better than he was before the surgery now. He would limp a lot. But it's a long recovery. It's like 8 to 12 weeks recovery time.
Yeah.
Where we're having to be almost constant vigilance on him, especially right now where we have to like coat him to protect his incisions. But eventually we'll be able to just like put him in a room and leave him alone.
Yeah.
But right now it's like pretty chaotic. So that's our lives right now. I forgot entirely where I was going with that.
That's okay.
But that's kind of par for the course right now.
Yeah. Well, it's fall time now, so that's good.
It is fall time, and there's an overwhelming amount of decorations all around me.
Sorry, it's not quite finished in here yet.
And it's not
when
done
this episode airs, it'll be done, but when we're recording it, it's not finished.
Yeah. I mean, the house looks great. Don't get me wrong. There's just a lot of things all of a sudden.
Sorry.
There's so many pumpkins everywhere.
Sorry. I am trying to decorate for 2 holidays. Usually I've done fall already and I just add Halloween in, but now I'm doing them both at the same time because I didn't decorate for just fall in September like I normally do. So now there's just a lot of things happening.
Well, we should probably start talking about your topic today because it's your turn.
Is it my turn? I thought we were just going to talk about home decor.
No.
This is the home decor podcast now.
I did mole last season. Last season? Whoa. Okay. I did mole last episode. It feels like it's been a season already since the last episode.
Honestly, we were gone all of September, so I really don't know what month it is.
It's
October.
Septober, November.
Oh no.
That's like all four of them together.
Septona December.
Yeah, September, December. It is September, December.
Septona December.
September, December.
Yup. That's
Yeah.
about how fast they go too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna exist in September, December, and if people want to correct me, that's great. It is the current day in September to November. I don't know actually what day it is.
In the year of our Lord 2023. It's still 2023.
Yeah, I know it's at least 2023.
Okay.
That's where I stand with knowing anything else about what day of the year it is. It's 2023. That's all you need to know.
What if it was 2024 and I just was gaslighting you for 6 months?
Oh my God. The amount of effort you'd have to put in to keep up that lie would be amazing.
I'm really tired of just constantly changing your phone and changing calendars. Tired. Anyway, so yes, today's my turn and we're going to talk about birria tacos.
Ooh, I'll be honest, I don't know anything about birria tacos, nor
Great.
have I ate them. Yes, I'm sticking with that. Nor have I ate them before.
Okay. Well, they're really delicious. So I have a couple of sources. The first one is an article on mashed.com called The Untold Truth of Birria. The titles always crack me up. The Secret Life of Tacos. The Untold Story of Chicharrones or whatever. They make it sound like something dark and dastardly. Birria tacos. I'm probably going to not be able to pronounce it correctly the entire time. You're supposed to roll the R. So, birria tacos. If you're not familiar with birria, you've probably seen a version of it on your Instagram feed at some point. They're really popular right now, especially in a town like ours or hubs like LA, San Diego, San Francisco, New York, like, you know, the big food hubs. A typical post would include a picture of a crispy red taco shell stuffed with slow cooked meat and it's dipped in a sauce. So that's what a typical like post would look like. So birria in the US is typically made from beef, but the process of slow braising in broth can be done with any kind of meat, but birria is historically made with using goat meat.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Spanish conquistadors brought a variety of livestock to North America, including pigs, chickens, and goats. The goats, however, ended up causing more trouble than they were worth in native Mexico because the goats...
Sorry, I'm just very excited about the next part of the sentence.
Here it goes. The goats bred very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, actually, this isn't very funny because they devastated the crops and they led to massive famine.
Oops.
So
okay.
it really got out of hand. Just millions of goats.
There's goats everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're taking over. And everybody was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We can't stop it. They're like bunnies. So the solution was to start using goats as a food source, as one might imagine is the next logical step.
What were they using them for before that? Not a food source?
I mean,
They were
what do
just
you
like-
use goats for? Probably like working, right?
I don't know. Or like goat milk? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Or work.
Or just pets. They were like, look at my millions of goats that are my pets. I love them. But now I'm going to eat them because they're kind of a problem now.
What were we watching where they were talking about goat herders? Oh, we just watched Coming to America.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he says he's a goat herder.
A lowly goat herder. Anyway.
Sorry, Billy. Looks like you're on the menu now.
Billy. So they began to be a food source since they couldn't figure out another way to stop them from breeding so much. But unfortunately, the meat wasn't commonly used in Spanish cooking. And goat meat can also be gamey and pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
So the native Mexicans decided to cook it in the ground with herbs and spices to make it more tender and flavorful.
Checks out. Nice.
Yeah. So they had to get kind of... inventive with how to deal with this problem.
Yeah. Yeah, goat is pretty lean, so it can be hard to cook.
I wanted to define birria really quick. In gastronomic terms, the word birria means exquisite savory dish full of culture and tradition, which is beautiful. But the actual literal term comes from something that means of no use or value. Obviously referring to the fact that
Rude.
the goats no longer had any value.
So mean.
So I think it's funny, like in gastronomic terms, it's lovely.
Yeah.
But in literal translation, it means it's
worthless.
It's a dud. It's a 0. Wait, this is like Hercules. It went from 0 to hero.
Hercules.
In no time flat. And just like that. Okay.
Hey, that is an underappreciated Disney movie, in my opinion.
I think it's just right appreciated. It's appreciated a good amount.
Is it?
I would say so.
I mean, like, I think it's like a great one, but you don't see. It doesn't pop up much if you go to like Disneyland or Disney World, in my opinion.
I think it's just because it's a little older, and I think they're just capitalizing on the current IP that's popular. But people still like it.
You still see stuff like Snow White, like the classic Disney princesses.
I mean, Snow White, she only has a ride in Disneyland. She doesn't have a ride in Disney World anymore. And anyway, I could keep going. I'm not going to.
I should not open this can of worms.
Don't get me started. I got to go through this.
This is now a Disney podcast, by the way.
I wish you would. I wish you would. Don't tempt me. I'm going to start a podcast by myself where I only talk about Disney stuff.
I'm a little surprised you haven't yet, if I'm being totally honest. Snorted so hard it hurt. Nice.
That's how passionate I am about Disney. I snorted. Anyway, so that was in the time of the Spanish conquistadors, how it was originally made. But as far as how it changed into a taco, there's a really good article on eater.com called The Great Birria Boom. It's pretty long, but I summarized it using ChatGPT.
Oh no, ChatGPT has invaded our podcast.
Don't tell me you haven't used it yet, because I'm not going to believe you.
Written to some of my friends' chagrin, I have used it to write cover letters for job applications because I can't be bothered. Because I hate writing cover letters. I hate it. It's so annoying. I've also done some tests on it. Like, I don't want to get into this too much, but I've done some tests, like programming stuff on it. And it gets things kind of right with programming, but it's done some straight up mistakes where it'll spit out like some code. And I look through it. I'm like, yo, this ain't it. And it's like, oh, you're right. This is wrong. Here's a corrected version. I'm like, this is still wrong. But okay, we're going to move on. That's okay.
Aw, well, it's working really hard.
It's trying its best, I guess.
It's trying. Well, I kind of wanted to see how the summary feature worked because I knew that you could give it stuff and it would spit back out to you like a summary.
Yeah.
So I read the whole article, don't worry. And I read the summary and it didn't pull from anything else. It only pulled from what I gave it. So anyway, I'm going to try it. If we crash and burn, it's all right. It's going to be okay. Kendall, it's going to be okay.
I'm not okay.
It's going to be okay.
Good luck. We're all counting on you.
Thank you. In 2005, two Mexican-American teenagers, Teddy Vasquez and Omar Gonzalez, met during Holy Week, or Semana Santa, in Cotzingo, Puebla. Sorry if I butchered that. Where Mexican-American families often gathered together. Unbeknownst to them at the time, they would later revolutionize Mexican street food in America. Cotzingo, I'm so sorry, I am sure I'm butchering that. Cotzingo was the birthplace of taqueros who created Tijuana-style birria de res, a rich stew-like dish. It all started when Don Guadalupe Zorate, originally from Cotzingo, moved to Tijuana in the 1950s and opened a Birria de Chivo stand, which later transitioned to beef birria. By the 1980s, Birria de Res was slowly gaining popularity among the Tijuaneses. I'm assuming that means people from Tijuana. Though not as much as carne asada and adobada. For some reason, adobada translated to al pastor. You tell me how that translates to that. I don't know. That's why I was struggling. Fast forward to LA in the early 2000s, where Birria de Res was discovered during trips to Tijuana. Tacos Aron featured tacos de birria, birria en caldo, and queso birrias. That means birrias with cheese. Yay. In 2015, the Gonzalez brothers opened Birria Gonzalez, taking inspiration from those carne asada stands and providing an experience that went beyond traditional birrias. Simultaneously, Teddy Vasquez reinvented himself as a taco slinging entrepreneur, opening Teddy's Red Tacos in 2016. The rise of social media influencers and Instagram posts featuring Birria de Res began in 2018, driving the popularity of birria trucks. This trend expanded beyond LA, with birria variations appealing across the United States, including birria pizza, birria men, I'm assuming that's birria ramen, birria egg rolls, and more. Please note that we just had a birria burger last week from Hop Dottie, and it was very tasty.
It was so good.
Not made with goat, mind you, it was made with beef. So the article talks about a young Mexican, Latino, and Latinx audience made Birria Gonzalez, Eddie's Red Tacos, and fellow LA Birria truck Tacos y Birria La Única Instagram stars. Ivan Gonzalez claims responsibility for posting an Instagram post on November 4th, 2018 that made the world, or at least LA, want to dunk their tacos into steaming cups of greasy red consomme. Whether or not Ivan Gonzalez's photo was the first of its kind in 2018, social media influencers began to highlight Birria de Res taco trucks, along with the mobile fleet of social media savvy birreros. Question mark on the pronunciation there. Anyway, the internet was flooded with images of red tacos plunged into cups of this rich, fatty sauce. With post after birria dunking post, LA's Mexican food trucks won followers and customers. Even so-called gourmet food trucks closed or struggled to gain traction on Instagram. So another instance of where Birria tacos sort of decided to take over, and eventually Birria itself exploded into popularity well beyond LA. So anyway, these Mexican-American Birria variations sometimes clash with traditional practices in Tijuana, of course with their differences in ingredients and presentation. But LA's Birria culture has now even influenced Birria in Tijuana.
Oh, wow.
Where people now request consomme for dipping their tacos in on the side.
It's gone full circle.
It's come full circle, which that happens a lot in food history, which is kind of fun. Like it morphs, right? Like you have a culture and another culture adapts it, and then the original culture is taking influence from the other one. So it's a very symbiotic sort of nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as the world's gotten smaller, like foods have changed because of that, as they've been influenced by other countries and regions and their foods.
Exactly. They've evolved. Mm-hmm. And even this says the evolution of birria continues to reshape Mexican street food, bridging cultural boundaries and becoming an Instagram-worthy sensation. One quote that I went back into the article and found and pulled. It says, quote, "The stateside success of birria, a dish created by taqueros from Cotzingo and nearby Pueblan towns, who then created a market for it in Tijuana, supported by many often unnamed stands, is the product of the American dream, driven by the entrepreneurship of children of immigrants," end quote. So I kind of like that. It's showing that a simple street food and a simple food that was born out of necessity is now being featured on popular blogs, and the rich are wanting to have this dish, even though it comes from very humble beginnings.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yay. And again, I'm pretty sure it did a good job summarizing. I did read both, and I'm pretty sure it did fine. So the recipe that I pulled is from a blogger named Charbel, and she's from Mexico. The website is on mylatinatable.com. She grew up learning to cook from her abuela, and there's 3 ways you can technically prepare this. She recommended, and we chose the pressure cooker option just because we wanted to use our time a little better. Instead of having to man the pot or something, we just stuck it in the pressure cooker. So this is going to be 10 servings. And for the meat, you're going to have 1 pound of bone-in lamb ribs, 1 pound beef shank, 1 pound beef loin, 1.5 tablespoons salt, 1 tablespoon pepper, 1 teaspoon, 1 tisp of ground cumin. And for the sauce / broth, you're going to do 4 dried ancho chilies, 4 dried guajillo chilies, 1 chipotle pepper, 8 peppercorns, 2 cloves, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, 1 teaspoon of marjoram, 1 teaspoon dried oregano or oregano if you're British, 2 bay leaves, half a teaspoon ground cumin, half a teaspoon ground ginger, half of a cinnamon stick, 8 cloves of garlic. That's a lot of garlic. Half of a large onion, 1.5 tablespoons of salt, 4 red tomatoes, half a cup apple cider vinegar, and 2 cups of water.
There's a lot of things.
That was a lot of things, but it's going to be delicious.
So how are we going to use those ingredients?
You're just going to eat them all at one time, and then it mixes in your tummy. Just kidding.
That doesn't sound right.
This preparation is for all methods up to a point. So for right now, this is for all the methods. Step 1, season the meat with salt, pepper, and cumin. Step 2, cut open the dried chilies with scissors and remove the seeds. Step 3, fry the dried chilies with a small amount of oil in a frying pan for 2 to 3 minutes, moving constantly so they don't burn. Set those aside. Step 4, add the chilies from the previous step into a small pot with boiling water for about 10 minutes or until softened / rehydrated. Step 5, in the same frying pan where you fried the chilies, add 1 tablespoon of oil and cook the onions and tomatoes until they're browned. Add the garlic, peppercorns, bay leaves, cinnamon stick, and all of the remaining spices except for the ground cumin and ginger. Continue cooking for about 5 minutes, moving it around often. Step 6, add the chilies, including the water, the ingredients from the previous step, and the ginger, cumin, apple cider vinegar, and water into a blender and blend until smooth. It will still be pretty thick, but that is fine. Strain and set aside the resulting sauce for the next step. Step 7, pour the sauce over the meat in a large bowl and cover. If using the oven or stovetop method, you want to marinate it for at least 2 hours or overnight. If using the pressure cooker option, you can marinate it, but it isn't necessary. Step 8 is follow the differing instructions according to your cooking method. We did the pressure cooker, which is preferred. Step 1, add the meat with the marinade or just the meat and the marinade separately if you chose not to marinate it into the pot of the electric pressure cooker. Follow instructions for your electric pressure cooker to bring it to high pressure and cook for 45 minutes. Release the pressure naturally for 5 minutes and then use the quick pressure release option to release the rest of the pressure. Remove the lid per instructions and the meat will be tender and ready to shred. So now we're on to serving. Remove the meat from the pot and shred it. You can serve it over the soup made from the sauce that the meat was cooked in, like soup style in a bowl, or serve it with tortillas as tacos with cilantro, lime, onions, and salsa. For birria tacos, you can dip the tortilla in the consomme and then fill it with your meat and put your toppings in it as desired. And that is traditionally for that. You can also put a little bit of the consomme in like a cup, so you can dip the whole shebang in there. And that is Birria tacos, essentially. Let's go make this.
Let's go do it. It got made.
It got made.
It done got made.
We did it.
We did it.
It was.
We ate it.
It was relatively complicated.
I mean, not really. We just pretty much threw everything into the slow cooker.
I would say the first part was kind of confusing just because there was a lot of moving parts. You had to cook and rehydrate the chilies, and then you had to do this and then do this. But then you're right. It does all get thrown into the blender, and then that's that.
Yeah.
The first part was kind of...
The first part was a lot like what we were doing for the mole.
Exactly.
And then, yeah, once you have that marinade put together, then you just throw it into the pot. So, yeah, I guess the first part was a little more complicated.
So, what do you rate our attempt?
This is nothing against the recipe. For me personally, I think, and what we did, I think is a 5.5, but I think it could have been like much better, like at 8 or 9 for a few reasons. Number one, our meat quality wasn't the best.
That was a whoops.
Yeah. When it got out of the slow cooker, some of it was fine. Some of it was like really tough. It was cooked, but it was just like not good cuts of meat. And the thing was like almost just a bone, basically, that it was a pain to get the meat off of it.
Was that the lamb shank, do you think? Like, which piece was that?
I don't remember which piece it was, but yeah, one of them was like really tough. Yeah, I'm forgetting which one it was. It was almost entirely just a bone and then a little bit of meat on it. So I think if we had better quality meat, it would have been better. Now knowing like some of the history of it too and what we did, I definitely would have changed some things to actually make it closer to like what they do in California that you mentioned. Because we did do the dipping it in. We dipped flour tortillas in the sauce before we put it together. That was a bad combination in my opinion, because it just made the flour tortilla really wet and fall apart. It was like impossible to eat it.
So, yes, full disclosure. I was inspired to make this because of my favorite Instagram lady. You all know, we all love her, Batul, on Turquoise Kitchen. She did it, and she put her tortillas on the kamal after dipping it, and she used corn. And
so she like fried the sauce onto it.
Essentially, and that's how you make it crispy.
Gotcha.
And
we did not do that.
I forgot about that.
Oh, okay.
Because it wasn't in this recipe, but this recipe was technically for Birria by itself, like not in taco form. And at the end, she added that little addendum, like, and serve it as tacos, like, but she didn't give any instruction for it. And so that's why I kind of forgot about it. Okay. So in hindsight, I should have written down that Batul fried hers. She used a kamal, but we could have just used a pan and fried it.
Okay.
Because the taco shells are supposed to be crispy, and that's like kind of the whole deal. Like you dip it, it's crispy, it's soft, it's wet, it's dry, crunchy. Like it's a whole thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if we had either fried that or just not doused our whole tortilla in there and done what they do in California, which is they have the cup and you dip it in there.
We just went whole hog.
Yeah. And it didn't work out, in my opinion. I thought that was weird. So I think if we had done either one of those, that would have upped my score as well. But when it comes to like flavor and stuff, it was really good. It's a very, very savory. So I kind of felt like we actually needed, this is another thing that kind of deducts a couple points for me. I felt like we needed something to like balance it out a little bit more. Because we just did onions, I think, if I'm correct. Yeah, we only had onions. Felt like it was kind of missing something to balance out that like really, really savory sauce and the meat. Like something to enhance a little bit of like the sour, the sweet, just to make it a little bit better.
Do you think we should have had a side dish?
Or well-rounded. No, I don't think it had anything to do with the side dish. It was just the taco itself, I think, needed to be better balanced.
Yeah. So this coming from two people that have never had Birria tacos, besides from what I've seen on Instagram, like that maybe did us a disservice. Like we
Sure,
probably
yeah.
should have had it first and then.
Yeah, and this is not a great comparison, but that Hop Dottie Birria burger that we had, I felt was still quite savory, but it still had a few other elements to it to bring out some acidity and bring out some sweetness as well that made it much more well-rounded and a better experience. And you also dipped the burger in the sauce.
Yeah.
So pretty much, yeah, the things that they did in the burger, I felt like would have made our version of the taco a lot better. Because I thought, the sauce by itself was like pretty good, but it needed a couple things. And our attempt at serving it could use improvement as well.
That was my fault. I apologize.
That's okay.
That was my bad.
But that's why I'm going to give it a 5.5 for what we did on our attempt. But I'm very interested in tweaking those things because I think it could be much, much better if we did those things.
I think I'm going to rate mine with the idea of how it could be. Like, I don't want to score it for what it was. I want to score it for where I think it can go. So I'm just going to give it a 7.
Okay.
Because I feel like the recipe was really good and it was easy to understand. And I think, honestly, using better cuts of meat probably would have fixed a lot of our problems.
It would have fixed some. I don't think it would have fixed everything, in my opinion.
Because I had a texture thing with our meat. Like, the texture was funky. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying I don't want to rate it with what it was because it would be low. And that was just our bad. We had HEB shop for us. But even so, I mean, maybe we shouldn't be getting lamb shank at HEB. Where do you get good cuts of meat? What about like a good, it's not a beef monger, but like a deli. A deli.
Well, you could go to like an actual butcher shop.
Oh,
probably
okay, a
find
butcher.
Good quality meats.
No, they're called beef mongers now.
You could go to a good beef monger and find some meat.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 7 because the sauce was good. I don't mind it being savory. I like savory, but I agree. I think it needed to be spicy. When I see a lot of chilies in a recipe, I'm learning this about like traditional Latin American cuisine. It's savory. It's not spicy. It's rich and depth in flavor, not spicy.
Yeah, ancho chilies in those are actually not spicy.
They're not. And that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted some heat back there. Maybe we could have fixed that by keeping the seeds in, but we scooped them all out because that's what the recipe said to do. So I don't know if that would have fixed it or not.
Yeah, honestly, I think that might have just made it bitter because you fry the you fry the chili.
Yeah.
And
true.
in that process, it might actually make the seeds bitter. I'm not sure. We haven't tried that, but I feel like I remember reading something about that in my mole recipe is if you left the seeds in, it actually made the mole more bitter.
Interesting. Well, okay. Well, next time we do this, we can just top with fresh jalapenos and that will satisfy that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. Not for what we had necessarily, but I feel like with our adjustments, what it could be. I feel like this could be really good. And I think we can fix it.
Me too.
Yay. We tried.
We tried.
It was pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
I didn't think it was bad enough where I wouldn't want to try it again.
No.
I certainly want to have it at a place that's known for the Birria tacos. And
we should go to LA in that case.
Yeah, I guess we just have to go to LA.
Oh, darn.
We say this like every episode. Guess we just have to go to that place.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, just to see what it is supposed to be like so that when we try it again, we'd have a better idea of that and can modify this recipe or just find a different recipe or something like that.
Exactly. Toppings would have helped. Spice.
Yeah, I think toppings would have helped. For
helped.
sure. Well, I think that's going to do it for the episode.
Yay!
So thanks everyone for tuning into our second episode of season 2. for our challenges, I think I forgot to mention this in our first episode because I was focused on getting that out. But if we hit 20 listens on our first episode, we're going to release some bonus content. It'll be a surprise what that is. And for this episode, if we reach 25 listens, we will additionally release some more bonus content. We're going to be doing that for every episode this season. So share the episodes with your friends, with your family, whoever you want, strangers, shout it from the mountaintops. Whatever you need to do to get the message out about our podcast, do it.
Get it to friends.
Short of criminal activity, do anything it takes.
Send it to friends. Send it to neighbors. Send it to enemies. Send it to people you hate. Send it to people you love.
Send it to coworkers. Every time I've talked to a coworker, they're like, "Wait, you have a podcast? You podcast? What? How do you even do that?" And it's a great way to start a conversation. So send it to coworkers. But yeah, our first episode, 20 listens. This episode, 25 listens. We're going to release bonus content when we hit those goals. And the listens can be any platform. I get data from all of it via where we host our podcast. So
just share it.
Yeah, just share it wherever and we'll get the listens and get that data from any podcasting platform. It does not matter where you listen to our podcast.
Give it to your grandma.
Give it to your grandma. Sure. Why not?
Or your grandpa. He might like it.
I told my hairstylist about a podcast, so she might be listening to this too now. So literally tell it to anybody.
I think I've also told my hairstylist, but we have two separate hairstylists.
We do.
Just to clarify.
We don't double dip with hairstylists. So
Ew.
Thanks everyone for listening to our second episode of season 2. We're having a fun time making these and are excited to be back and hope y'all are enjoying the show. And we will see you next week when I'm going to be making Cubanos.
Ooh, yum.
I'm so excited. It's something I've wanted to make ever since I saw the movie Chef like 6 years ago. Probably longer than that. I've lost track of my existence. So yeah, I'm going to finally do it. So
he hasn't stopped talking about Cubanos since we started this podcast a year ago.
Yeah, we
hit 1 year, by the way. Happy 1 year.
Oh yeah. Yay. I've wanted to make these ever since the start of the podcast. But even before that, I've wanted to make this ever since I saw the movie Chef many, many years ago.
I'm not even sure I've had one.
They look amazing. I've had one once at a restaurant, but I've always wanted to make this recipe because they make it look so good in the movie, and I'm so excited about it.
Okay.
And I'm going to stop doing this podcast if it's not good.
Oh,
I'll
Lord.
quit.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding. I won't. But I'll be very disappointed in all this years of buildup. Anyway.
Oh, God. No pressure, y'all.
We're going to wrap it up. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.